Good evening, Cedar Falls. Welcome to our regular council meeting for Monday, November 6th, 2023. I'll now call this meeting to order with a roll call from Madam Clerk.
Schultz.
Here.
DeBoer. Here. Cruz.
Here.
Harding.
Here.
Ganfield.
Present.
Sayers.
Here.
Dunn. Here. All members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And congratulations, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. If willing and able, I ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Should have Boy Scout up here. I don't know those Boy Scouts leaders.
Thank you. So, Madam Clerk, do we have any agenda revisions tonight?
I have no agenda revisions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And for Director Sheets, just a question about that. I might have misunderstood. For item 36, did you want to pull it to have it removed from the agenda or pull it to discuss it?
To discuss it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I have no special presentations tonight, so we'll move into public forum where speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics relevant to city business. Does anyone from the public wish to speak in public forum tonight? Yes, ma'am. Just name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Beth Koch, 1605 Hawthorne Drive, Cedar Falls. I have two topics tonight. My first one is to ask if there's a possibility that these meetings and the city meetings can be closed captioned for the hard of hearing. I have no idea if that's possible.
And with YouTube, those should be automatically closed captioned, and we do
Okay.
closed captioning as well. Is that do I have that understanding correct for closed captioning?
Like you said, I think that is true on the YouTube. Maybe not the live channel 15, though.
Right.
Thank
But
you.
we can check.
Thank you.
And your other question, ma'am?
My second topic is on trail safety on our multi-use trails in the Cedar Valley. I've been living here 37 years. I run, walk, bike, ski on our trails and our roads. On October 8th, I had an incident. I was about a half hour into my walk, enjoying nature, had gotten back into Hartman. I don't wear earbuds. I was listening to all the sounds, and on a soft single track trail back there, headed almost to the river. I was about 5 steps away from taking a left on a new trail, and an adventure e-bike came flying by from the left. He was not pedaling, didn't slow down, didn't stop. He said good morning and continued on another single track trail through the woods. My first emotion was terror. If I had been 5 steps away, he'd have hit me, and I think we both would have been hurt and stuck out in the woods. Again, he didn't make any attempt to stop or make any indication that anything had almost happened. I walk with my grandkids sometimes. They're 5 and 7, and if one of them had been in front of me, I think we'd have been severely hurt. Since that happened, I've had lots more thoughts and emotions. I've been talking with many of you, many other organizations in the state and locally and with the county. My understanding is that the ordinances that we have, e-bikes can be anywhere on any trail up to 20 miles an hour. Black Hawk County Conservation Board director told me that I'm the only incident that has been reported since July 2021 when the ordinance went into effect. And I'm talking with other people I know, trail users, I know that it happens much more often than just me. My purpose for speaking today is to restart the conversation about trail safety. I don't want to pinpoint anybody. I know there are good riders. Most of us are watching out for everybody else, but I feel like maybe we can do something more to make sure that everybody is safe out there. So I have 3 requests. I wish that somebody, organization or somebody, would take charge of education and what the guidelines are. I wish, secondly, that there would be some way to monitor what's going on the trails. I know it's hard. I know that's hard. I know I don't even have a solution. But if somebody could at least make an attempt or talk about it or figure things out. And my third request is that all of us, whoever has an incident that happens, please report it to City, County, Conservation Board. Just tell somebody so we know that it's going on, and I'm not the only person, I don't believe. I believe more needs to be done to prevent a serious injury or even a death, and I will continue to bother all of you and converse with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. And we will pass those recommendations on, especially for the education, to the Bike and Pedestrian Commission. They do have a rider safety program that would be a good fit for their outreach opportunities. The soft trails that you had mentioned aren't in Cedar Falls. I think it's part of the that's the county property through through Hartman Reserve, and I understand that they're aware of that issue too. It does say in the code, state code, that these kinds of electric assist bicycles are allowed on multi-use trails, but I would have to ask if that like the soft trails, that you were on, is like dirt, if that would be considered that kind of multi-use. I wouldn't believe that it would be. And my understanding is we don't have those kind of trails in Cedar Falls. All of ours are paved. So,
Mr. Mayor.
I'm not going to open it up for just general discussion, but I just wanted to provide some information.
I'll make a comment.
So if you'd like to do that during referral, that's totally fine.
It's not really a referral, but okay.
Anyone else wish to speak in public comment tonight, public forum?
Mayor, Council, Dan Trelka, 173 Graceline Boulevard in Waterloo. I am also on the Board of Supervisors. I'm here at the blessing of the Board of Supervisors and their encouragement. We haven't taken formal action, but we've initiated discussions with the City of Waterloo for a property evidence building and processing building. These discussions are very young. They're just beginning. I've had several conversations with Waterloo Police Chief Leibold. The Board of Supervisors has been discussing this for several months. But we would like to explore a joint venture with the City of Waterloo, and we'd also like the City of Cedar Falls to be involved. Although you may not have a need now, this is an open invitation for years to come. So we'd at least like to invite the city to be involved in these discussions so we can plan for the future. The Board of Supervisors, I can see that they would like to do more with our communities for the sake of the entire county. So this is an opportunity where we could spare something and try to work toward that ultimate goal.
Okay.
Thank you.
And do you have a timeline for this?
We don't. Chief Leibold and I are going to have some more discussions. The county attorney is fully in because he'd like to see us have one centralized location for a lab, evidence storage, evidence processing. We tried to do this about 13 years ago, and we were never able to accomplish it. So, as a matter of fact, Chief Leibold contacted me about 2 weeks ago and said maybe we could reinitiate our efforts for a multi-agency venture. Now, our smaller cities in the community, the sheriff's office tends to be the investigative arm for them with major investigations. So by default, they will be involved. But we'd like to get more entities involved and see where we can go. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Supervisor Trelka. And just, if everyone would stand easy just for a moment here. I'm just briefly looking at the rules. I thought that there was in the public participation section of the council rules, maybe there was in the past something that said for comments that they would go to the chair or to the presiding official, and then the chair could respond, but that it wasn't open for council dialogue. I don't see it in here. And perhaps it was removed when we did the last revision. So unless council objects, I have no reason not to allow Councilmember Cruz to allow his comments.
It was it was done in the past before you, the previous mayor. We would comment occasionally on what was said. The only thing I was going to say was that in different communities I've been in, I've done, as many of you know, lots of biking. There was dedicated bike trails where pedestrians really didn't go because of the concerns we just have. And then there was trails that were just walking, that sort of thing. And how feasible that is, it's more of an area you got to consume with building a trail separate, but there was definitely a separation of the biker versus the other people walking and jogging and maybe rollerblading or something like that, because you're not going to rollerblade very fast. But that's only a comment. It wasn't
Okay.
really a referral thing, but just a comment.
All right, thank you. And I apologize for
No,
not
you're
knowing
fine
what
for the
was.
bike committee to think about that. But
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Sires.
could I have a comment on Dan Troca's evidence room in Blackhawk County?
Certainly.
Thank you. Cedar Falls, I don't believe they have an evidence room, do we? In a holding area? This is for Chief Birdie. Do we have anything that's like
Yep.
that?
We do have an evidence room, and then we use our Sally port in our garage for evidence processing.
But it would help us to have something as big as what the county's talking about. Dan, how many square feet are you talking about?
Quite large. I don't know the square feet exactly since we're in the initial stages of this discussion, but it would be quite large.
Okay. Wouldn't that be beneficial to Cedar Falls as well, Chief?
It could be beneficial, but it depends on the cost. And so currently, if we have something large, we can store it at a tow company or things like that, too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yes, Reverend Stummy. If you'd probably just name and city for the record, please, sir.
My name is Pastor Larry Stummy. I'm pastor of St. Paul Lutheran Church on the corner of Willow and Pleasant. I want to, first of all, thank the council and for you, your kindness to myself and Dr. Michael Blackwell, who have appeared for you in the past several months. The Waterloo Cedar Falls problems and concerns that Dr. Blackwell and I have been bringing to your attention, these problems that we have brought to you are real and not made up. They're not for personal gain or for political reasons. The disparity between black and white citizens in our community is based on hard facts and research. Scientific research has shown that of the over 380 urban communities in the United States, the quality of life in Waterloo Cedar Falls community for its black citizens is one of the worst. At one time it was the worst place for blacks. Now I think it's up to the 6th worst place. Some of these the other places have become worse. Last week, the Department of Health of Iowa released scientific findings about our Waterloo Cedar Falls communities, especially Waterloo. We learned that the citizens of the state of Iowa and also Kentucky have the highest rate of cancer in the country. And the report went on and said that the residents of Waterloo have the highest rate of cancer in Iowa. Some of the reasons for this finding include the industrial history of manufacturing, the socioeconomic problems, but it also includes the industrial sites that are so prevalent in the Waterloo area. Many, like the Chamberlain site that has been there for 30 years, emitting some dangerous chemicals. These are huge problems, and they're real, and they require a coordinated approach. An effective response will cost millions of dollars to correct these findings. And it will require a partnership of the people involved, the victims, the best academic and medical, scientific, and industrial minds and political minds. It requires government leaders working together. I'm so happy to hear about the supervisors of the Black Hawk County are also interested in working with the different municipalities to deal with the serious problems that are appointed for us. These are huge problems. But there's a little bit of a caveat, and the caveat is that in the past, the state has not been a real close friend of the problems of the urban area of the cities. The way that it's treated the SNAP program, the way that it's treated the school program, taking money from the public schools and giving it to private schools that have to take every student that comes in the door.
Pastor Stummy, I would just ask you to keep your comments directed
Yes,
to Cedar
okay.
Falls, please.
And so
you have
we're
1 minute remaining.
encouraging all of you to have a concentrated coalition of the urban area and the urban government to work together to find solutions to these problems. It's going to take the work of all of us. And that includes Cedar Falls and Waterloo and the surrounding and the county, and also the areas that are affected. And we encourage you and hope that you'll take that advice, and that, as you have done, you have a long a strong human rights program, and we think that falls right into the work that we encourage you to work with the Human Rights Commission of Waterloo and finding answers to these needs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pastor Stummy. Does anyone else wish to speak in public forum tonight? Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Michael Blackwell. I live in Cedar Falls. First, I want to indicate that I have been heartened by some of the responses of you, Mayor, and of some counselors, and I've communicated that on email to you. But I still have concerns. Now, since I arrived in Iowa, I discovered the numerous and significant racial disparities in the area. Needless to say, I was well aware of such disparities in major places. But you know, hope springs eternal. After participating in and often leading nonprofit agencies to help the poor generally and people of color specifically, locally and statewide, I observed the ubiquitous institutional racism in structures, policies, processes, and services. Let me hasten to add that our focus on institutional racism is not to overlook the fact that individual bigotry and racism still exist. A staff person in a company, business, or other organization can personally discriminate in a categorical way. For example, an employee who can hire and promote can use code words or initials to identify race and ethnicity and choose not to hire or promote a qualified person of color. It's not the policy of the institution per se, but simply the pernicious mindset of a department manager or director. This kind of thing has happened for decades and continues today. We call it institutional because we want to cover pinpointing individuals committing the crime and blame it simply on historical patterns infecting the institution rather than firing the perpetrators. Over my 28 years here in the Cedar Valley, these injustices and inequalities and inequities have largely maintained. What does this really tell me? Here locally and across the state, we need masses of people seriously to come together to reduce the stark racial disparities that stymie, stultify, and suppress the attainment of a better quality of life for for certain categories of people. City governments are essential in this undertaking. As a member of many institutional strategic planning committees, I know that the vision statement is that the organization will be what the organization will be like at the end. Often it is a dream. The mission statement, strategic goals, and objectives need to be substantive, practicable, and transformative to be effective. Constantly re-examined through management teams, performance evaluations, qualitative and quantitative assessments, and so forth. Many, if not most, plans are unsuccessful because they are not assiduously prosecuted and transparently executed and communicated. As the esteemed scholar and minister Howard Thurman once said, "I'm tired of sailing my little boat far inside the harbor bar. I'd rather go out where the big ships float, out on the deep where the great ones are. And if my frail craft proves too slight for waves that sweep those billows o'er, I'd rather go down in the stirring fight than drowse to death by the sheltered shore." I think it's incumbent upon all of us, city governmental leaders, residents of the Cedar Valley, to seek to take radical steps to address this perduring problem. So I urge you all to let us do the radical thing, as the poem suggests, and fight to the bitter end. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Blackwell. I certainly can agree with that a great tragedy is when a person isn't able to meet their full potential for whatever reason. And if that is happening, if there are issues in Cedar Falls, we have a Human Rights Commission that certainly is very eager to hear about those complaints and those issues that come forward, and that's a primary reason why the HRC exists. So if that is happening to you in the community, please reach out to the HRC. Their contact is readily available on the city's website. With that, anyone else wish to speak in public forum tonight? Okay, yep, seeing none.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Before we go on to the next item or staff updates, it looks like we have a large group from Troop 500, and I wanted to just take an opportunity to thank them for being here.
Certainly. Oh, that was it. Okay.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Thank you
I
for
thought maybe,
coming
well, see,
tonight.
they're on camera. I don't know if they can see it, but
Yes, here for the Citizenship and the Community Merit Badge tonight. So thank you so much for your interest in civics. I hope this is an educational experience for you tonight. Also, I inadvertently skipped an item here on the council agenda. It's the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the regular meeting of October 16th?
Second. So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. And that puts us back on track here. Do we have any staff updates tonight, Mr. Gaines?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd ask Director Sheets to give us a little update on some of the upcoming playoffs that are coming up here.
Well, hopefully, as council members drove around maybe in the downtown today or along Hudson Road, maybe you're noticing some new banners going up that we haven't had in the past that welcome the Iowa State football semifinals and finals that begin on Wednesday, November 8th and wrap up on Friday, November 17th. So we're going to be welcoming about 55,000 visitors to Cedar Falls. So we're excited to welcome them and hope that they'll notice some of our new efforts on enhancing that welcome to them. And one of those efforts is that we'll be kicking things off with a short presentation at the beginning of the semifinals with Mayor Green, the UNI Athletics Director, David Harris, and the Iowa High School Athletic Association Executive Director, Tom Keating, to highlight some of our new enhanced signage on Hudson Road, Main Street, and near the Dome, as well as naming the drive there along the Dome Playoff Parkway during the playoffs.
Okay, thank you. Any other updates tonight? Okay. I will note, for those of you, I'll mention at the end as well, that tomorrow is voting day for local elections. So that will run from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. At your regular polling stations. If you're not sure where you vote, you can check online. There's going to be a map on the Secretary of State site. Be pretty simple to find out where your voting area is. And With that, I will look to take us over to our special order of business, which item number 2 is a public hearing to consider entering into an amended and restated agreement for private development with McDonald Construction and Remodeling, LLC. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that does pass. And Madam Clerk, do we have any written communications filed for the item?
I have no written communications.
Okay, thank you. So looking at staff comments tonight, we have Shane Graham, our Economic Development Coordinator. So the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, earlier this year in March, Council approved an agreement for private development with McDonald Construction and Remodeling. This is for a new 8,400 square foot building in the North Industrial Park. After that agreement was approved, the developer began putting plans together for the construction of the building. Is ready to start construction of it. The original agreement included a minimum valuation of $750,000. After the developer began putting numbers together, he realized that the cost of the building was going to be about $1 million. So with that, the developer is asking to amend the agreement to do two things. One, amend the minimum assessment number from $750,000 for the building to $1 million. And then with that, with it being $1 million, it could qualify for a 3-year property tax abatement, which is kind of spelled out in the staff memo. So with that, the property would be eligible then, with the $1 million valuation, would be eligible for the 3-year tax abatement once the project is completed. This agreement, the amended and restated agreement, was drafted by City Attorney Kevin Rogers, was reviewed by both parties, and is found to be acceptable. So staff would look for council to approve tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Graham. Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak on the item tonight? If not, then I will consider the public hearing closed and take us over to Part 2E, which is the resolution approving and authorizing execution of an amended and restated agreement for private development and amended minimum assessment agreement with McDonald Construction and Remodeling, LLC. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for council questions and discussion. Okay, seeing none, then it's been moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that does pass and takes us over to item 3, which is a public hearing on the city's FFY22 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or CAPER, for the City Community Development Block Grant and Home Programs. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, or all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. And Madam Clerk, do we have any recommendations filed on the item?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Staff comments tonight, we have Karen Howard. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. This is our annual, basically a summary of our community development block grant funds and how we've used them over the past year. We owe this report to HUD every year. So this, just in summary, to know a little bit about what we spent our funds on this year, we're doing a tree planting project in low and moderate income neighborhoods. We're planting about 120 trees. We've done some owner-occupied rehab projects and rental rehab projects. And then, of course, we always fund some of our service agencies in the area, the Food Bank, Salvation Army, Pathways, EPI, and House of Hope were the ones that we funded this past year. So that's just a summary of some of the things we fund with our community development block grants, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Great, thank you, Ms. Howard. Do we have any public comments for this item? Okay, seeing none, then I'll consider the public hearing closed and take us over to item 3E, which is the resolution approving and authorizing submission of the city's FFY22 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation CAPER program for the Community Development Block Grant Home Programs. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for council questions or discussion. Seeing none, then moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All members voting aye.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that passes as well. and takes us over to part 4, which is a public hearing on a proposal to undertake a public improvement project for the Viking Road and Prairie Parkway intersection improvements project and to authorize acquisition of private property for said project. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
Move to receive and file proof of publication.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Madam Clerk, any written communications filed for this item?
I have no written communications on file.
Thank you. So with staff comments tonight, we have Mr. Ben Claypool. Floor is yours, sir.
Mayor, Council. This public hearing is for the right-of-way acquisition for the Viking Road and Prairie Parkway intersection improvements project. The City of Cedar Falls is planning to reconstruct the intersection of Viking Road and Prairie Parkway by converting the stop-controlled intersection to a roundabout. Work will also include the installation of curbed medians from Andrea Drive all the way to the roundabout. This project will require the acquisition of 4 temporary construction easements, 1 public utility easement, and 2 fee title acquisition right-of-ways from a total of 4 property owners. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Is there any public comment for this item? Seeing none, then I'll consider the public hearing closed for it and take us over to 4E, which is that resolution approving a public improvement project for Viking Road and Prairie Parkway intersection improvements project and authorizing acquisition of private property for said project. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Open for council discussion or questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Cyrus.
is there an estimated cost on that roundabout? It's a pretty big street.
Yeah, it is a larger roundabout. It's 4 lanes for the Prairie Parkway, or not Prairie Parkway, for the Viking Road through, and then the 4 coming down from Prairie. I do apologize, I've looked at the estimate a handful of times recently, but I believe the current estimated total is 4.4 right now, including
4.4 million?
Correct, including the right-of-way acquisitions and utility relocation costs.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
What is the condition of the current roadway, the pavement?
The condition of Viking Road is right now currently in pretty good shape. It was found during the soil boring logs by our hired consultant that the pavement was put just directly onto compacted subgrade, not even rock at the time. To speak to how much longer the Viking corridor is anticipated to last is a guess from me without looking at the rest, but just in general, this reconstruction obviously would be following current standards with full rock base as well under that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Schultz.
this is a safety issue, correct? Not a deterioration of a current roadway?
That is correct. The intersection was looked at in a report by AECom back in 2019, at which point they recommended for serviceability and safety for the city to look at a roundabout here over the stop-controlled intersection, and then a benefit cost analysis by Snyder and Associates in 2022 showed that the 20-year benefit cost analysis was in favor of the roundabout for being more economical. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, one more follow-up question, please.
Certainly.
What would the cost be if we put in traffic lights there? Because there's traffic lights all the way down through there on Viking.
Speaking to the overall project cost, that would also, this proposed project also includes the medians, but just on a direct intersection cost to direct intersection cost being signal and roundabout, it appears that would be the 20-year life cycle costs are about 6.2 million for the signal, 4.3 million for the roundabout, with the physical construction costs at time of construction being 530,000 for the construction versus 2.2 for the roundabout. Sorry, 2.2 million for the roundabout.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Is there feasibility to have, feasibility to have lights there with that other roundabout being just a few hundred feet away and traffic backing up there?
That definitely would pose some challenge to it. The specifics of backups from a light into that roundabout, I'm not entirely sure on. I do know that any considerations of those would be evaluated by the design consultant during the evaluation if we were considering the traffic signal.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you. Good discussion. With that, if there's no further questions, then it's been motioned and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
Five voting aye, 2 voting nay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So that does pass and takes us over to old business, item 5 being passing ordinance 3044, granting a partial property tax exemption to KL Iowa 01 LLC for construction of a warehouse and manufacturing facility at 6313 Production Drive upon its third and final consideration. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that one? Okay, seeing none, then moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and I apologize, I didn't ask for public comment on that one. I hope that no one had it. Okay, all right, I'll be careful on this next one. Item 6 is passing ordinance 3045, amending Chapter 26 zoning by removing Section 26-196E, special parking standards relative to allowing adjacent on-street parking to count toward shared parking requirements in the downtown character district upon its second consideration, and this requires 5 aye votes to pass. So is there any additional council? Yep, motion to approve?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions from council? Any comments or questions from the public on the item? Seeing none, then back to council and requires roll call vote.
Six voting aye, 1 voting nay.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that does pass, and it's on its second consideration, so it'll be back before the council in our next meeting for its final reading. That takes us out of old business and over to the consent calendar. Will these items be acted upon by a voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately? And we are certainly happy to consider items separately if you like. Does anyone wish to pull, or on council wish to pull an item from 7 through, what's the end here?
14.
14, 7 through 14.
Number 7.
Number 7, okay. And any others? Okay, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve the
Mayor?
consent? Yes.
Sorry, I did have a question.
Another
Number
one?
8.
On number 8, okay. So does anyone wish to, or excuse me, is there a motion to approve items 9 through 14?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that does take us back to item 7, which is receive and file the mayor's veto of resolution 366, being a resolution rescinding resolution 22-360, approving and adopting the Imagine College Hill Vision Plan. Is there a motion to approve the item?
So moved.
Moved and seconded, open for council discussion. Councilmember DeBerg.
Yeah, I pulled this simply because I wanted to vote separate on it or vote no on it. And I know elections are tomorrow. I just wanted to remind the public as they vote. Doing a veto is a very large item that the mayor has a right to do. Hopefully that the mayor candidates will consider speaking with their council members prior to doing a veto. I think that would be helpful as they move forward. And that was the reason I wanted to pull it, so I can vote no for it.
Any other comments? Councilor Hine.
I would just say that receiving and filing is just putting it into the
Correct.
to the city's history, and whether or not we agree with the veto, I think it's important that we have the history completed. So I would just request that maybe you save the no vote against it later and allow the history to remain intact. That's all.
Okay, and to note that receiving and filing, whether that's approved or not, the veto still does hold. Okay, other comments, questions from council? Seeing none, then this is a voice vote, so all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Yeah, I'll need a show of hands for aye. 1, 2, 3, and a show of nays. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that fails, and this veto will not be in the city record, for whatever that's worth. Okay, looking at item 8, receive and file communications from the Civil Service Commission relative to the following certified lists. A is the Information Systems, Info Systems Technician 2, and B is a Water Reclamation Supervisor. So, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. For discussion, so Councilmember Ganfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to double check. I don't see it anywhere, so I apologize if I was not aware, but what is the total possible scores? What's that ranked on, I guess is what I'm looking at. Who can tell me that?
Is that,
That'd be a
Well, I
follow-up
can't
with
tell
the
you off the top of my head, but I could look it up and, I mean, for both of them, are you asking about?
I'm just for every one of them. I mean, I'm assuming it's on a static.
It's not
points.
a standard for everyone because of the weighting system. So we have questions for civil service exams, and those could be different for every position, and the weighting could be different. So, you know, one position might have 3 questions that are weighted at 9 versus 8, and a different. So there's not one just standard total. So that's why I would have to look it up, but I'm happy to do that and get back to you because I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, then all in favor say, or excuse me, I'll open it to the public as well. Does the public have any thoughts on the item? Okay, moved and seconded, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. And that takes us over to to the resolution calendar. Will these items be acted upon by a roll call vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately? Okay, we do need to pull item 36 at the request of staff. And council, have any other items you'd like to pull? Okay, seeing none.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Do you have an item you wish to pull?
30 and 34.
Okay, so 30. And 34. All right, so with that, is there then, or does anyone from the public request to pull one of the items that we've not already brought up? Okay, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve items 16 through
42.
Gosh, 16 through 42?
Motion to
With the
approve.
exception, let me finish, please. With the exception of 30, 34, and 36.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and requires a roll call vote.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And that brings us over to item 30, which is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a master services and purchasing agreement for agency with Axon Enterprises Incorporated relative to replacement of body cameras and in-car cameras. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
And Councilor Ganfield?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief Howard, I might be asking, he's actually not here, who's in for him tonight. I would like to find out when we should have been doing this replacement and how many cars we've had to take out of service currently.
I can answer some of that. The panel that worked on this is here, so we've got vehicle maintenance rep, IT rep, and Captain Herenstein from police. I can't give you the specific amount of vehicles taken out of service. Dustin could probably do the closest there. But if you have specific questions, we got the panel here that worked on this for 6 months, so.
Yeah, I guess that's the one thing I want to know is how compromised are we and when should we have been ahead of this is my other concern. But go ahead with the first one, cars.
Mayor, Council, I would say we are down one current car, and the other car we are currently sharing components with to make it work. The part that's not working is wireless uploading. So all the video is captured, it's just not uploaded wirelessly. Okay. Once that hard drive is full, we have to down another car to use that, moving forward to get that video. But so we currently are down one car to its full capacity with no body camera, or car camera on it. As far as when we should have been looking at doing it, I can't say exactly for sure. I know our first 5 to 7 years with these cameras didn't have much issue, and then it started kind of fading off as far as product failure, things like that. So maybe a couple of years ago, things like that. But prices have really changed in the past 2 years as well.
And
The price you referenced, would that have been absorbed within the budget previously, and the price is escalated now to the point?
No, we would not have been probably absorbed within the budget at that time, but they have gone up considerably from then.
Okay, I'm just curious if an audit might have caught something like this.
I can't speak to that.
Councilman Ganfield, I can answer that. So, you know, we're not compromised. We have a 12-car fleet, though, so we have had to have a car or two that we figure out, a car that may not be used, you know, that they need the video, that they'll use that for other assignments. Ideally, I would say, and I think Chief Howard would tell you the same thing, if we had been purchasing, probably the sweet spot would have been about a year ago to be taking possession of new equipment. But now we're going to have our body cam and car cam aligned all together. Previously, our purchases were done separately. Car cams were done at one time, body cams were done at another time. And, you know, one analogy I would make about body cameras in police, you know, there was a time we bought 8 body cameras for $1,300. And then in 2016, I was the assistant chief. We bought new body cameras for $60,000. And, you know, here we are talking about a 10-year deal for $1.4 million. So kind of similar to cell phones. There was a time we probably got our cell phones for a penny. You know, what's a cell phone cost you now? $800, $1,000. It's just, the technology is moving so fast, it's hard to keep up with it. And also the company we were with, they moved on to a different product, so they just stopped supporting what we had, so.
Okay. Appreciate those clarifications.
All right, thank you. Other questions or comments? Councilman Rivera?
Well, this new contract's got the 10-year warranty. If updates or it changes in 10 years, will they then give you different equipment if their software changes?
There are actually refreshes built in during the 10 years, and this panel can tell you the iterations that it happens at. And we had the option of a 5-year contract or a 10-year. We chose to go with the 10-year. Waterloo recently did the 10-year with the same company. They're very happy with it. So we have the option of 5-year or 10-year.
Okay. And out of curiosity, do we know what the warranty was on what we had? How many years was that? Or what we currently have?
IT is telling me 3 years.
3 years. Okay, just curious.
And then and really as Dustin said, in the first years, we didn't do much replacement at all, but the older it got, the more things started breaking, and then we just made the best use of what we have, so.
Thanks.
Other questions or comments from council? Any from the public?
Mayor?
Yes, Supervisor Chalko.
I think a lot of you have noticed that Hy-Vee has security guards in their stores now. They are using the same system. They're compatible. If Hy-Vee security guard pulls their taser, everybody in that area, including if it's a Cedar Falls officer, Waterloo officer, their cameras will activate. So we're seeing the private sector becoming compatible with the public sector, and this is good.
Yeah, there's really right now probably 3 big players in the body cam, car cam industry that are doing the best of the best with unlimited downloads, cloud storage, and all that. And we've got one of the 3.
Okay, thank you. I will note too, I've had 2 or 3, actually I think 3 or 4 instances now during my mayor service where complaints have come from the public, and we've used body cam footage to be able to see what really happened there and to kind of look at where it might be some miscommunication or just, gosh, when you're in the middle of a stop as a citizen, sometimes it feels like 30 minutes when really it's just been 2. So those body cams have been incredibly important for us, and having high quality cameras is certainly a priority for the city. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
If no other comments from council or public, then it's been moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And that takes us to item 34, which is resolution of support for Community Main Street and approving and authorizing execution of a Main Street, Iowa program continuation agreement with CMS and the Iowa Economic Development Authority for the purpose of continuing the Main Street, Iowa program in Cedar Falls. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Councilor Ganfield, you brought that forward?
Yeah, I just want to make sure there wasn't a discrepancy that we overlooked. In the cover letter, it says that this will cover a 3-year period, but the dates show a 4-year. I just wanted to make sure I got that crystal clear, which it is.
It's a 3-year agreement. Sorry, it's 4. Then I made a typo.
Yeah, this is the first time it's gone. Previously it was 2 and now 4.
Okay.
So previously was 2 years, now it's a 4-year agreement.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Thank
so
you for that clarification.
Does that account as a scrivener's error on the form, and we would just make
That would have been my error in the staff report.
Okay.
Contract's fine.
All right. Great. Any other comments from council or questions? Councilmember DeVere?
Can that scribing error just be changed before it gets downloaded?
It's not on the actual agreement.
Okay, but, so the staff memo doesn't get downloaded for the public to see as well?
Well, it's in the packet, the memo. I think what you're talking about, can we put a corrected memo in the packet for
Yeah.
this time?
Just change it to the foyer.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, other questions from council or comments? Any from the public? Nope. Okay, thank you. Good to have you here. Ms. Bear from Community Main Street. We did have an opportunity to speak, 2 weeks ago or last week, with a representative from Main Street, Main Street USA. Is that the name of it? Main Street America. So I had a great conversation about the role of Community Main Street, and Kim did a fantastic job representing. I think for the members of the public who participated in that as well. So yes, Councilmember Canfield.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one comment. I really appreciate the effort that's gone into this and the collaborative interagency cooperation that helps us have a vibrant downtown. I want to see that be contagious and help spread throughout the rest of town so we're not keeping all our eggs in one basket. I want to see that type of growth happen throughout town. So thank you for your years of service there and this organization's efforts. Let's do more of this.
I have no other comments from the public or questions or from the council. Then it's been moved and seconded for this resolution of support and the authorizing execution of the agreement and for the purpose of continuing the Main Street Iowa program in Cedar Falls. Moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that does pass as well, and it takes us to over item 36, which is the resolution approving and authorizing execution of an offer to buy real estate and acceptance for property located at 523 West First Street. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and I brought this up at the request of Director Sheets. She has some information, I believe, on each of our pads here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Before the council meeting, I handed out a revised purchase offer. In the packet, we noted that this property came for sale and noted the public purpose for which we might consider acquiring the property. And this afternoon at 3 o'clock, the realtor called me to say that they have had another offer on the property, $2,000 more than what our offer was. And we did ask that they indicated willingness to continue to consider the city's offer if it were at the same amount. And I asked for a revised purchase agreement that would reflect that for the council's consideration tonight.
Okay, thank you. So this, since it's a change from what's in the packet, I believe it'd be appropriate to do this as an amendment, simple amendment to the packet.
Yes.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to change that dollar figure to $97,000.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for council discussion for the amendment.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I don't know if it's proper, but the question in my mind would be, can they prove they have this competing offer before we just give away an extra $2,000? Is it even legal to ask of that?
We could ask. They do not have to provide that. But I guess that's the role of the realtor, is be honest in the negotiations with us. And she did contact us in writing to indicate that.
So there's a realtors know this, that there's a code of ethics they have to follow, and misrepresentation of an offer is definitely against ethics.
Okay.
Especially
all signs point
on
to
camera in front of a government meeting would not be good either.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get the name of that realtor just to be on the safe side. No, I'm kidding. So looking at that, also, if we say at the 97,000, is that locked in and we basically sign tomorrow morning?
Correct. That's what that was the intent of asking them to give a revised agreement that council's approved it, and we can let them know that we're on board.
So technically, council, the previous offer was rescinded, and this is a new offer. Not to say you're bound by it by any means, but this is, if accepted now by council, it's a bound contract.
Okay, thank you. So any other questions on the 97,000 change? All right, so it's any from the public? Councilmember Cruz.
I guess in situations the last several years, there's been bidding wars. Are we not subject to a bidding war on this property?
Well, it's a short war if there is a bidding war, because this just came in at the last minute, and as I understand it, the seller is still willing to, if the city would meet that number, that the seller would sell to the city.
So, okay.
Okay, any questions, comments from the public on the item? Okay, seeing none, and this is just for that amendment. Any last changes here or questions? Okay, so this is voting as a voice vote just on the amendment itself to change from 95,000 to 97,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes, so that we're now strict to have 97,000 as the purchase price being offered. Any final discussion? Okay, seeing none, then it's been moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote at the 97,000.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that does pass, and that takes us, I believe, out of the resolution calendar and over into bills and claims. Is there a motion to approve bills and claims
So
for
moved.
November 7th?
Second.
6th? Moved and seconded. Any discussion from the public? Moved and seconded, requires a roll call vote.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Takes us over to updates and announcements. Do we have any from the council tonight? Did make that notice earlier tonight about the voting for polls being open tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. here in the city, and that's going to be for mayor, for Ward 2, Ward 4, and an at-large seat. So please make your selections tomorrow, and we'll look forward to getting the results tomorrow night on that.
School board.
Yes, also school board as well. Any other comments from council tonight? Okay, then over to council referrals. I understand we had a referral you might want to bring forward tonight? Yes, Councilmember Cruz.
I'd like to make a referral for Mr. Rogers and Ms. Howard to investigate the language for concentration of businesses. I believe, do you need that to proceed technically? Or do
Now that you're making the referral, sure.
Yeah.
Get a majority of council, sure.
Yeah, it was by consensus earlier in the meeting, and I would have directed them to do it, but it's
Okay.
good to have the council sense
Okay.
on that. So,
Second.
moved and seconded. Any, this is pretty straightforward. Any extra questions or discussion? And I would recommend that for the density of, if we're looking specifically at vape shops or and any other kind of businesses.
Well, it would be probably a general research to use in the future for anything that we don't like, or that's applicable.
Wow.
I wouldn't intend to single out a type of business. I will provide general information.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
And this would be, I'd hope throughout the city, so not just like focused on College Hill or one area, but just in
Certainly.
general, what can we do? Okay, so for a future meeting,
Mr. Mayor?
we'll try to have that before the end of the year. Yes, Councilor Gifford.
Can I ask for a friendly amendment addition to that to also include any covenantal restrictions on real estate? Whether there's a disallowed use in areas in town. I've heard rumors that seedy businesses might not be allowed in certain parts of town. Can you include those in addition to the density?
In restrictive covenants?
Right.
Private, okay.
Thank you.
I think I can find those, yeah.
Perfect.
All right, any other discussion for that?
Second that amendment?
Well, it's just friendly. He's just
Okay.
going to do it.
If you're okay with it,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Because it's included in the overall investigate the language.
Yep.
So with that, I have no other comments
Okay.
on that or direction. Then it's been moved and seconded,
Oh, sorry.
and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that does pass. So we have that referral going forward. Any other referrals tonight?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Sire.
I have a referral, and I want some clarification. Our student liaison, when we had the discussion in committee about College Hill, I think he would have had good vision into that. I would like to see him be able to participate in the committee meetings.
Okay.
And I'd like to have him have a voice, because that's why we have a liaison with us on the council.
Okay, so in the resolution as it was approved by council, gosh, the last version, I think was 2017, it specifically says that the student liaison is only allowed to participate in the regular council meeting and not in the committee meetings. But would the council entertain a referral to change the language to include the student liaison in committee meetings? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'd like to have done, because that's what's important, is you and I and the partnership with the city council.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional discussion required?
So just to clarify, you want them to have a vote on everything, or just?
No, not a vote, just they are going to be part of the discussion.
Well,
He was not allowed, he was not allowed to come in here when we discussed College Hill. And I have a problem with that. If you're going to have a liaison on the council to talk with us and be in the discussion with us.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
There you go. I know.
Let's,
But the,
one at a
That's
time,
it.
please.
just asking to clarify what you're thinking. I've known him to, other people, students in his position now, have often spoke at council meetings. Not often, but a
It's
fair
just-
bit, but.
For a point of clarification, he's just referring to the language of the resolution states that he can speak and he can participate, but only in council sessions, not in committee meetings.
Oh,
Dave was referring to amend that and bring it back so that the student liaison could participate in committee meetings as well. So it would just extend participation rights to committee meetings.
Right, the limitation now is if he wanted to come to the committee meeting early today, he would have sat in the audience, and there would have been a public comment section.
Yeah.
So he'd have no real opportunity to speak, because
Yeah.
there was no motion being brought forward. So at this point, any thoughts on that? Any?
Thank you for asking. It's interesting to hear it from over here as you're all talking about the liaison, but certainly I would be supportive of that. I don't want to, I've always said I don't want to impede on city business or, give my opinion where it is not necessary, but certainly that would have been helpful. And I was listening from out there, hearing about the Hill. You might not like what I have to say or what I'm talking about from the students that I hear about, but I would agree with Councilman Sire's sentiments that it'd be nice to be able to contribute in a way that's productive for students and productive for the council. So I agree, and I appreciate you giving me a chance to speak about it. Thank you.
Right, and that's important too, to recognize the kind of the rules of engagement with that student liaison is as the writing is, it's identical to the administrator, that the administrator can speak at any time, just as the council members can. Neither would get a vote, but they have the opportunity to chime in whenever. And so hopefully you've felt that, or, from our past conversations, that certainly if you have something to add into, you don't need for us to call on you before you can speak. You have just as much right to ask the floor. Even right now, yes.
And just to speak off that, prior to when I had seen the resolution that you had sent in an email, I again, did not mean to impede on any city business before I knew what specifically that resolution said. So just wanted to put that out there as well. And thank you again, Councilman Cyrus, for bringing that up. I know he and I discussed that briefly right before the meeting, so thank you.
Okay, excellent. So any other comments on that?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just a couple clarifications.
Please.
Number one, I don't know if that resolution speaks to attendance, mandatory attendance, but if it does speak to mandatory attendance at council meetings, does council want me to also include that for committee meetings? That's number one. Number two, it's simple enough. We could just bring an amendment to the resolution directly to council and not go through committee, if that's acceptable.
Sounds good.
Certainly. Any concerns about that? Okay.
What about the attendance?
Removal of
I
mandatory.
don't think attendance.
I don't believe that there's a mandatory attendance requirement on it,
Then we
because they're
will-
gone all summer.
Yeah, then we won't worry about it. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, anything else on that? Then for the referral, referral is voice vote, right? I always have to ask. So all in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that passes, and we'll look forward to having that brought to the council in a near future meeting for council consideration and approval. Other referrals tonight?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Cruz.
Thank you. I'd like to put on the next agenda, November 20th, if my calendar's correct, a opportunity to discuss and vote on whether we want to override the veto of the rescission of the College Hill visioning.
Okay, so an agenda item on the next council meeting, which would have to be the next meeting to meet the requirements for timeliness for referral override. So with that being on, was it November 20th meeting? Is that the date? Or
I think
19th?
that's,
It's the 20th.
20th, okay. So November 20th, to have that item just on the council agenda. I don't know if there's any discussion needed for that, but.
Is there a second?
Oh, yeah, is there a second to it? Is motion and seconded? Open for discussion, if there's any need for that. Okay, seeing none. Any from the public? Okay, so moved and seconded, and it's a referral with a voice vote. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, so let's see, ayes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then nays, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that'll be on the agenda for the next council meeting for discussion and.
5-2, you said 5-3.
4-3, no, 5-2. 5-2.
5-2.
Okay, so 5-2 pass. With that, that will be on the next council agenda. And looking at any further referrals tonight? Okay, seeing none, then next item we have is executive session, where item 44 is executive session, discuss legal matters per Iowa Code 21.51C to discuss strategy with counsel in matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent to where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So that does pass and brings us over to executive session. We'll be going into the council chamber or the executive conference room from here. And when we come back out, at whatever time we're finished, we will simply vote to adjourn. There'll be no more discussion or votes here in the public eye. So you're welcome to stay if you like. No need. Have a great night.
You too.